Good evening, my friends. This is the Flayer. I hope you are all doing very well tonight. And I have a special announcement. I am officially on Patreon as of, I don't know, like an hour ago or so. Pretty exciting stuff. So, first off, what is Patreon? Well, it is a way in which people can support the content creators of their choosing via a monthly donation that is a recurring donation that can be as small as $1. And apparently now I am one of those content creators that can be supported, assuming I did everything right. Of course, I'm completely new to this, but hey, I was completely new to YouTube less than 2 months ago, and that seems to be going okay. So the page seems to be functional. Here it is. Brand spanking new, 0 patrons, $0 per month. That's how we all start out, right? So, anyway, why have I joined Patreon? Well, I've been in communication with some of you. The communication that I've had in general with my subscribers, with commenters on my video, with the BGX community in general, on the forums, on the Facebook group, has been great. I've received such unexpectedly positive feedback at such an unexpectedly high volume that it's honestly kind of blowing my mind. So first of all, thanks to everybody just for viewing, for subscribing, for commentating, everything. Like it's been very wonderful. It's really been a humbling and exciting experience. So I've in accordance with that feedback and all these comments, I've had a lot of requests, and they seem to be increasing as time goes on, from various people saying, would you be able to play out my list on the channel? Would you be able to test a Dark Confidant variant? Would you be able to play some league matches, upload some full leagues? All of these things like this. And ladies and gentlemen, these are all great ideas for the channel. I would love to do them, and the BGX community as a whole, I believe, would benefit from me doing them. Again, just to get some footage out there. Not that I'm the best player on planet Earth, but I definitely don't think I'm a bad player. And this is a community collaborative effort, right? Like, I can record the video, I can overlay it with some commentary. You all can give me the feedback. You can point out lines I could have taken that I didn't, and together we can figure out the best way to make Golgari midrange, or indeed other BGX variants, as great as we can get them in the modern format. But here is why I have been pretty conservative in terms of what I've shown so far on the channel. I am a father of 2 beautiful children, both under the age of 2. My wife and I both work full-time. You know, we make decent money, everything is okay, but my budget for Magic the Gathering is very low, and honestly should probably be even lower than it is. And so, basically, I'm like, you know what, it's fine. It's kind of an expensive hobby, but it's really my only hobby. It's really, you know, I don't spend much money on anything else. But even so, I have to keep the budget low. And so, like, I buy what I need to play for my own deck, and that's about it. I don't have any kind of an MTGO collection to speak of outside of the cards that I use on a daily basis. In fact, when I made the switch over from Abzan, this predates the channel, but from the Abzan Dark Confidant, you know, stock style build to the more land-heavy 4 Tireless Tracker Golgari build that we all know and love by now, I sold all my Abzan stuff to fund the other stuff. I traded in my Dark Confidants even. I don't even have Bobs anymore. That is the horrible truth. You know, so as much as I would love to play everybody's lists, and I'm not just saying that, I would genuinely love to have a subscriber come to me and say, hey, do you mind taking my list for a spin? I would love to be able to say, why yes, that looks like all kinds of fun. Let me load that up and get a few games in and see if we can get some good content for the channel. But right now, having to be a responsible family man, I simply cannot justify playing beyond my means, so to speak, for even for the sake of the channel, much less for my own sake. So that is one reason I decided to launch a Patreon account, and indeed a commenter on YouTube specifically suggested it. The commenter said something along those lines, and I just gave a briefer explanation of what I did here, and the commenter said, hey, maybe Patreon's an option. And honestly, the thought had occurred to me before, but, with my channel still being new, I thought, maybe that's a little presumptuous, maybe it's too soon. But hey, like I said, over time, the interest is increasing, the positive feedback is increasing, and the requests are increasing for me to play different variants of Golgari, or maybe even of BGX in general, branching into Jund and Abzan. But right now, frankly, I can't justify the expense, so thus the natural step of starting up Patreon. Now, let me make something abundantly clear. This is still a hobby for me. This is still a hobby. So if money is tight for you, if you need money to pay your bills, if you need money for necessities, do not donate to me. Do not donate to me if you don't have the money to do so. Please put yourself and your family first. That's what I'm doing, so I don't want you to forfeit the same for my sake. Just want to make that as abundantly clear as I can. Now, that said, if you do think the content is worth your support, and if you do have the means and the inclination to do so, then I would absolutely welcome any support. So right now, with the way the tiers work on Patreon, I'm still learning that. My understanding is that you can have several tiers with minimum thresholds for entry, basically, of a certain dollar amount per month, and you can establish rewards that correlate with the tiers. I'm not messing around with that right now, and part of the reason for that is that I'm just new, and again, I don't want to be presumptuous. We're just starting out. Any donation you'd like to give is perfectly fine with me. And also because I'd like to leave this really open-ended for now. I'd like your community feedback on what kind of tier rewards make sense. Like, are we talking about, at a higher tier, maybe I play your deck through leagues, or, I know that a couple other Magic YouTubers at some higher tiers will mail out altered art cards or signed cards or stuff like that. I'm certainly no artist, but we might be able to figure something out on that front. But for now, I figured let's just let it be freeform, see what the level of interest is, and let it be kind of a first come, first serve in terms of the people who are in on the ground floor getting to kind of help shape the direction of the channel and of the tiers of patronage and so on and so forth. So for now, if you decide to donate and become a patron, you're an inquisitor. As an inquisitor, you help to root out and destroy infinite combos and other forms of heresy. Long live fair and interactive magic in Modern. So yeah, that's a beautiful thing. And I had an idea of maybe you're an inquisitor, then you're a confidant, and so on, and making them all BGX themed. That might be kind of fun, but again, we'll let that figure itself out over time. But if you have any feedback about that, please let me know. So, the one clear correlation there is that more money that I can take in via Patreon, and perhaps eventually via ad revenue as well, but we need 1,000 subscribers to reach that threshold with YouTube. But regardless of the source, the more money equals more content. That's just a pure, mathematical equation. Again, this is just a hobby for me at the moment, and I've been able to maintain a very high level of content output. That may not always be the case, but the higher my income, the more time I can dedicate to this. That is for sure. That is a fact, and that is a promise. That's a pledge I will make to my patrons. And another pledge I will make is that the money I take in with Patreon will go back into the channel. You know, for example, if I get a few Patreons over the course of a couple months, I'll be able to play some Dark Confidant builds without really breaking the bank, anything like that. I also pledge to continue interacting with the community. Right now, I am able to read and reply to every single YouTube comment, for example. That may not always be the case if the channel gets too big. It might simply become too overwhelming in terms of volume, but to the best of my ability, I will continue to interact with the community to give you my honest feedback on any questions you might have, and to take your advice on board. You know, if I'm going too long in my videos, let me know. If you really like how in-depth we get and how we thoroughly explain, you know, the ins and outs of even minor decisions, let me know. I'm always taking advice on board, and I'm always happy to hear new perspectives. The final pledge I will make here is that unless, you know, something earth-shattering changes in the meta, something that completely turns everything we know about Magic up on its head, and nothing is ever the same again, you know, whether it be a bunch of crazy unbans or a bunch of crazy new printings. So, assuming things stay even tangentially similar to how they've been for the entire existence of Modern even, my pledge is that I will see the BGX archetype as what I call the one true path. So when I jumped into Modern from the kitchen table a few years ago, I converted some kitchen table decks to Modern, and since then I did a lot of jumping around with decks. Sometime early on this year, I got really sick of that and said, you know what, I'm going to commit fully to one archetype, and I'm never going to leave it as long as I play this game. And that is BGX. That is my one true path. So as long as I'm playing Magic, again, unless something totally unforeseen happens, as long as I'm playing Magic, and as long as I'm active on this channel, I will be focusing on BGX. Now, as I say here, I might make a few diversions along the way to play some rogue decks for a change of pace. I have a deck tech and a few matchups with taking turns on the channel, for an example, and that is currently my kind of sidekick deck. And, you know, maybe that'll remain my sidekick deck. Maybe I'll experiment with something new, but my focus will be on BGX, and for now on Golgari, but, you know, of course BGX gives us room to branch into Jund and Abzan. Again, if the income I'm able to generate with this channel allows me to do so. Or at least helps me along the way. That might be all it takes. So, anyway, like I said, I'm new to Patreon. I think the page should be live and functional. Of course, if you run into any issues, please let me know. But otherwise, I think that about sums up my vision for the Patreon and my vision for the channel moving forward. And I hope you will consider donating. I mean, just look at the numbers we've racked up, and I say we, you know, this is a habit I've just picked up. A lot of Magic players, when they're commentating their games, say, oh, we should have done this. It's a way to include everyone, I understand that, but in this case, it's not just a figure of speech. Like, this is something we've done. All of the likes, all of the views, all of the subscriptions, and all of the comments have helped us get this far. Now, this is pretty insane. I'm a nobody. I'm just a guy on the internet. I don't have any credentials as a pro player, and frankly, I never will, because I live in the middle of nowhere. I cannot really attend tournaments too often, and again, with family and work, I'm just far too busy to go join the pro scene. It's that ship has sailed for me. So I'm a nobody on the internet with no credentials, and my channel is less than 2 months old. Look at how well we've done. We've got over 4,000 combined views. We've got over 52,000 minutes of watch time, and the trends are only going upward. we've got several videos now with over 400 views, or at least a couple, several with over 300. And yes, I understand that a lot of YouTubers have, you know, millions of hits on their videos, but this is Magic the Gathering. Our numbers don't get all that high outside of a few really big names on places like Channel Fireball. Even if you look at some of the most popular streamers, they're only getting, you know, a few thousand views on any given YouTube video for the most part. So, again, the feedback, the success so far with this channel has been completely unexpected. I'm very grateful. I'm very humble about that, and I hope we can continue to make this channel, Flayer MTG, even more of a success into the future. So if you would like to be a part of that, please feel free to reach out to me with advice, to continue liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, and of course to consider becoming a patron. So, as always, everybody, thank you very much for all of your support in whatever way you can manage to support me. I am eternally grateful, and stay tuned to the channel, because now that we've got this announcement out of the way, we'll be going back to making some gameplay videos very soon and trying to bring this fair archetype of BGX to the very top of Modern. So, thank you all once again, and I hope you have a great night. I will talk to you soon.